You paid the bill, but the debt stayed. That is one of the most frustrating feelings in personal finance. You open your credit card app, you make a payment, you feel responsible for a moment, and then a few days later, the balance still looks almost the same. Sometimes it even looks higher. And the worst part is, you did not go on a luxury vacation. You did not buy something crazy. You did not feel rich. You just paid for groceries, gas, medicine, a car repair, maybe one dinner when you were tired, maybe a few subscriptions you forgot about, and somehow the balance refuses to disappear. If this has ever happened to you, the problem is not that you are stupid with money. The problem is that credit card debt is designed to feel manageable while it quietly becomes sticky. It does not usually trap people with one giant purchase. It traps people with small decisions that feel normal, followed by interest that feels invisible, followed by minimum payments that feel like progress, but often behave more like a pause button. This is why your credit card balance never goes down. The balance is not just a number, it is a machine. And unless you understand how that machine works, you can keep feeding it money every month and still feel like nothing is changing. The first reason your balance never goes down is because the minimum payment is not built to free you quickly. It is built to keep the account alive. The minimum payment is the bank saying, "Pay this much and we will not panic." It is not the bank saying, "Pay this much and you will be debt-free soon." That difference matters. A minimum payment can make you feel like you are doing the right thing, because technically, you are paying. You are not ignoring the bill. You are not missing the due date. You are being responsible enough to avoid late fees and protect your credit score. But the minimum payment often covers mostly interest and only a small part of the actual balance. So you pay, the bank takes its interest, a tiny piece of the debt disappears, and then the rest of the balance stays there waiting for next month. It feels like trying to empty a bathtub while the faucet is still running. You are working, but the water level barely moves. And this is where many people lose motivation. They think, "I paid $200. Why did my balance only drop by $40? The answer is interest. Interest is the rent you pay for using money before you had it. And credit card interest is expensive rent. It does not care that the purchase was necessary. It does not care that your car broke down. It does not care that you were tired, stressed, or behind. It only cares that the balance was carried into the next billing cycle. Once you carry a balance, your past starts charging your future. That is the second reason the balance does not go down. You are not only paying for what you bought, you are paying for the time you borrowed. And the longer you carry the balance, the more the time costs. This is why a $400 emergency can turn into a $500 problem, then a $600 problem. Not because the original emergency got bigger, but because the payment plan stretched the pain across your future paychecks. The third reason your credit card balance never goes down is because you keep using the same card while trying to pay it off. This is extremely common. You make a payment on Friday, then life happens on Saturday. Groceries, gas, a bill, a birthday, a prescription, a little online order, one thing after another. By the time the next statement comes, your payment has been erased by new spending. You did not fail because you are lazy. You failed because you were using the same tool for two opposite jobs. You were trying to lower the balance and rely on the balance at the same time. That is like trying to lose weight while eating from the same bag you are trying to empty. The card becomes both your debt and your backup plan. And as long as your backup plan is the same place as your debt, the balance has a reason to survive. This is why the first real step is not always a huge payment. Sometimes the first real step is separation. Stop using the card you are trying to pay off. Freeze it, remove it from your phone, delete it from shopping apps, take it out of your wallet, do whatever creates friction. You need to stop the balance from growing before you can make the balance shrink. A lot of people skip this step because it feels too simple. But simple does not mean easy. If the card is still available for every stressful moment, every tired night, every little emergency, then the payoff plan is already leaking. The fourth reason the balance stays high is because the payment happens after spending, not before. Most people treat credit card payments like cleanup. They spend all month, then they look at the bill and ask, how much can I afford to pay? But by that point, the month has already happened. The money has already been assigned. Rent, food, car, insurance, phone, subscriptions, debt, everything has already taken a piece. So the credit card payment becomes whatever is left. And when debt only gets what is left, debt usually stays. You have to reverse the order. You cannot wait for extra money to appear. Extra money is usually already gone by the time you look for it. The payment has to become a planned expense, not an emotional decision. If you want the balance to go down, you need a number before the month starts. Not, I will pay whatever I can. That sounds responsible, but it is too vague. You need something like, I will pay $600 toward this card this month, and I will build the rest of my spending around that. The fifth reason the balance never goes down is because the interest rate is quietly stronger than your motivation. Motivation feels powerful on the day you decide to change. You tell yourself, this is it. I am done with debt. You make a payment. You feel serious. But interest does not need motivation. Interest works every day. It works when you are tired. It works when you forget. It works when you are at work, when you are sleeping, when you are trying to fix other parts of your life. That is why a debt payoff plan cannot rely only on emotion. Emotion starts the plan. Systems finish it. You need automatic payments if possible. You need a weekly check-in. You need a spending limit that matches reality, not fantasy. You need to know which card has the highest interest rate. You need to know whether you are using the snowball method or the avalanche method. The snowball method means you pay the smallest balance first, so you get a quick win and build momentum. The avalanche method means you pay the highest interest rate first, so you save the most money mathematically. Both can work. The best method is the one you will actually follow when life gets annoying. The sixth reason the balance does not go down is because you are only looking at the balance, not the behavior that created the balance. This is uncomfortable, but it matters. The balance is the symptom. The behavior is the source. If the balance came from one emergency, that is one kind of problem. If the balance came from months of normal spending being higher than income, that is a different problem. If the balance came from emotional spending, stress spending, convenience spending, or trying to keep up appearances, that is another problem. You cannot solve every credit card balance with the same advice. If your income is too low for basic living costs, shame will not fix that. You may need a bigger income move, a roommate, a cheaper car, a different housing situation, or some hard decisions. If your spending is disorganized, you need tracking and limits. If your spending is emotional, you need friction and replacement habits. If the debt came from emergencies, you need a cash buffer so the next emergency does not go back on the card. A payoff plan without a buffer is fragile. This is why so many people pay down debt and then go right back into debt. They attack the balance, but they did not build protection. The seventh reason your credit card balance stays alive is because the payments are too small compared to the new interest and new spending. This is where people need to be honest with the math. If you owe $5,000 and you pay $150 a month while still adding new charges, the balance is probably not going to disappear in a meaningful way. It may move, but it will move slowly enough to feel hopeless. You need a gap. That gap is the difference between what comes in and what goes out. Debt payoff lives inside that gap. If there is no gap, the plan is only a wish. And this is why earning more money does not always solve the problem. If every raise becomes a bigger car payment, better apartment, more delivery food, more subscriptions, and more casual spending, the gap does not grow. The income grows, but the payoff power stays weak. The balance goes down when the gap gets protected. The eighth reason credit card debt is so hard to escape is because it hides inside normal life. Nobody feels financially reckless buying groceries. Nobody feels irresponsible paying for gas. Nobody feels like they are destroying their future because they ordered food after a long day. And honestly, one purchase does not destroy anything. The problem is repetition. Repetition turns normal purchases into a permanent balance. One dinner is nothing. 10 dinners are a bill. One subscription is nothing. 8 subscriptions are a leak. One small emergency is survivable. 3 small emergencies on a credit card become a cycle. This is why you need to stop asking only, "Can I afford this payment?" Start asking, "Will this purchase still be following me next month?" Because that is the real test. If you buy something today and you are still paying for it 3 months from now, it was not a small purchase. It was a future claim. The ninth reason your balance never goes down is because your credit limit tricks your brain. A credit limit looks like available money, but it is not money. It is approved debt. If your card says you have $4,000 available, that does not mean you have $4,000. It means a company has given you permission to owe them $4,000 at a high interest rate. That is very different. But psychologically, the number feels comforting. It makes you feel like you have room. You think, "I still have space. I am not maxed out. I am fine." But space on a credit card is not the same as safety. Safety is cash you do not owe back. Safety is a bill you can pay in full. Safety is an emergency fund that does not send you interest charges afterward. The 10th reason the balance stays is because people wait for a perfect month to start. They say, "I will pay it down after this busy season, after the holidays, after the car repair, after the move, after my income improves, after things calm down." But life rarely gives you a clean month. There is almost always something. And if your plan only works in a perfect month, it is not a plan for your real life. Start with an imperfect amount. $20 extra is not dramatic, but it is a signal. $50 extra is not life-changing, but it is direction. $100 extra every month is not glamorous, but it begins to break the pattern. The goal is not to impress yourself. The goal is to create movement. Debt hates consistency more than it fears one emotional payment. A huge payment followed by 3 months of new charges is not a plan. A steady payment with no new charges is a plan. Here is a simple way to begin. First, stop using the card you want to pay off. Second, write down the balance, interest rate, minimum payment, and due date. Do not guess. Look at the real numbers. Third, choose one extra payment amount that you can repeat every month. Not the biggest number you can force once, the number you can repeat. Fourth, create a tiny emergency buffer at the same time, even if it starts with $100, because if every surprise goes back on the card will keep winning. Fifth, remove easy access. Delete saved cards. Turn off one-click checkout. Take the card out of your wallet. Make spending inconvenient enough that your future self has time to think. Sixth, track new spending weekly, not monthly. Monthly is too late. Weekly gives you a chance to correct. Seventh, celebrate balance reduction, not just payments. Paying is the action. Lower balance is the result. You need to know whether the result is happening. And if the balance does not move, do not shame yourself. Investigate. Did interest eat the payment? Did new spending replace the payment? Was the payment too small? Did an emergency happen? The answer tells you what to fix. This is also why you should stop saying, "I am bad with money." That sentence is too vague to be useful. Say something specific instead. I am carrying a balance because I keep using the card. I am carrying a balance because my emergency fund is too small. I am carrying a balance because my minimum payment is not enough. I am carrying a balance because my spending plan is built after the month, not before it. Specific problems can be solved. Shame cannot be solved. And please understand this. Paying off credit card debt is not only about math. It is about getting your paycheck back. Every balance you carry is a piece of future income that already has a job before it arrives. That is why payday can feel disappointing. The money comes in, but it already belongs to the past. The card company gets paid, the interest gets paid, the old grocery bill gets paid, the car repair from 3 months ago gets paid, the dinner you barely remember gets paid, and then you look at what is left and wonder why you worked so hard to feel so behind. That is the real cost of credit card debt. It does not just take money. It takes flexibility. It takes calm. It takes choices. It makes your future smaller before you get there. So if your credit card balance never goes down, do not only ask how to pay more. Ask how to stop feeding the balance. Ask what the card is doing in your life. Is it a tool or is it your emergency fund? Is it convenience or is it survival? Is it helping you build credit or is it quietly collecting your future? A credit card can be useful when it is paid in full. It can protect purchases, organize spending, and earn rewards. But when the balance carries month after month, the rewards are usually not the story. The interest is the story. The stress is the story. The paycheck you never get to enjoy is the story. The goal is not to hate credit cards. The goal is to stop letting them pretend to be income. The goal is to make your money boring again, cash for emergencies, a plan for bills, a payment that actually lowers the balance, a card that is used carefully or not used at all while you recover. That is how the balance finally starts to move. Not because you found a magic trick, not because you suddenly became a different person, but because you stopped letting yesterday charge interest on tomorrow. And once you feel that first real drop, protect it. Do not treat progress like permission to spend again. Treat progress like proof that the system is working. Your credit card balance goes down when your future stops paying for your past. And the moment you stop borrowing from the next paycheck, you finally get to start keeping it.